And now it's my pleasure to welcome the very lovely Sheetal Sheth to Showbiz India. After a few years, you look great and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It has been a while, hasn't it?
Personally, you got married. You have two beautiful young ladies, I believe. And how has motherhood been like for you?
It's I always knew I wanted to have kids, and it is hectic and hard, but it's pure joy.
Would I be safe to assume that this is what prompted you to write your first book, Anjali? We're talking about your second book today, of course,
Right.
bravo, Anjali. But tell me the inspiration behind it.
Yes. So when I was pregnant with my first, which is now over 6 years ago, um, I was buying children's books and looking around and reading and just kind of soaking in what I wanted to bring into our home. And I was really, like, much like all media, really dismayed at the lack of inclusiveness, representation, stories that I feel like really reflect the world. Um, and I found that if there was a brown character or any character of any culture, it generally revolved around a story having to do with a holiday or religion or mythology. And that's fine, but that's not what we do all the time, daily, And I just thought, and then when I started doing more and more research, I realized there's more books about animals than there are kids of color. And so, I love telling stories. It's what I do. It's my actual job as an actress and a producer. And I thought, let me just take a crack at it. I just did it and I thought, we'll see what happens, and I found a book agent and we sold it. And I did not expect it to have the success that it had. I'm so grateful for it, but it has far surpassed any of my wildest expectations. And now with the second book coming out, I've learned that this is the only the first illustrated book series that has a South Asian hero, and it's shocking actually that there hasn't been one. And I'm so proud to have brought that into the world. And there's going to be lots of Anjali stories.
You're the pioneer in something. This is fantastic. I mean, my daughter's all grown up, but I wish I had an Anjali when,
Yeah.
tell me about Anjali. Is she a little bit you?
Yeah, I mean, she definitely, she's me, she's my friends, she's stories I've heard. I've absorbed a lot over my life and my years in, in this business, in entertainment business. And so there's a lot of her. The core of her is definitely me to a certain degree, but a lot of it is my children. A lot of it are my friends. Like, there's pieces of things that find their way into her that makes her kind of an amalgamation of, anyone kind of growing up here, a little girl of color growing up in America with strong cultural roots.
And where can anyone find this book?
So Always Anjali is available everywhere. You can get it, to support independent bookstores. If you go to alwaysanjali.com, there are links that will take you to indie sites, which we always want to support. It's also available on all the other ones. I don't need to say the names. And then Bravo Anjali, which is the new one. I'll show you a cover of it. This is so beautiful.
Amazing.
It's in pre-order right now. And so that you can also, if you go to alwaysanjali.com, there are links to pre-order it. And there's a lot of cool swag that you get if you pre-order early, and that will be out next year. And then there'll be more every year that keep coming out, the follow-up stories.
I know there's been a gap between the first and the second one, also because you were having some trials and tribulations. I know you've been very open about it. I'm so, so happy you are cancer-free. You've motivated so many women, young women, to keep on fighting.
Thank you.
Message?
Yeah, no, I mean, yes, it's been a tough couple of years. I will say though, I've been more productive than ever, actually. And I think being faced with your mortality, obviously is part of that. I've always been a highly productive person, but it's like another gear now, and I really say this not to sound doom and gloom, but I don't know if I have tomorrow. I really don't. I'm okay right now, but any day that could change. And I know that that is my life, but I have to look forward to, in the sense of there is nothing promised. So, my message is to time is the most precious commodity. So think about how you use it and only do things that you really, really want to do. And
it's so nice that we can read a little girl's book and feel
yes,
motivated, right?
well, it's a great holiday present. Books are great presents. They last forever. By the way, I know it's a children's book, but I've had so many adults, like you said, say, I wish I had this book when I was growing up. So it's a big favorite in the adult scene as well. I get messages from so many people. And also because, again, there's nothing like it out there. And so, it's a great gift to give. And it's also a great conversation, when now VP-elect Kamala Harris was running, what happened with Senator Perdue deliberately mispronouncing her name is the story of Always Anjali. And when that happened, there was a huge kind of groundswell of people being like, oh my God, that's exactly the book. I go, I know, this is not the first, we all understand, we know this moment, when everybody was kind of outraged. I'm like, oh, we've been there, done that. Not to say that you shouldn't be outraged. But the fact that it's happening.
Right. I've been there. I'm sure you've been there.
The fact that it's happening in 2020 on a high level by a sitting senator is why, to me, it's infuriating and actually just really disgusting,
And Bernie and Elizabeth and Kamala or Kamala, I don't know. Whatever.
But thank goodness we have these kinds of moments and books and stories to talk about our kids, to talk about these moments with our kids so they feel seen and that they understand they're not alone. Saying bravo, Anjali. She deals with being the only girl in the room. And I think it's an important conversation to have with our girls and boys young on both sides of it, and so I'm just excited about the story. And it has music, it has a musical thread to it, which is very exciting and you rarely see in books.
And so what else are you up to aside from being a full-time mom, of course?
Yes. So I'm in a film called I'll Meet You There, directed by Iram Bilal, which will be out next year. I'm in post-production on a film that I produced and acted in called Hummingbird, which I'm very excited about. This is my baby. This is something that I produced from the ground up. I put the people together, me and my partner. We hired everybody. We raised the money. We did it. And we're in post-production and it's really cool. It's a very kind of dark genre superhero film. And it's very original. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. And that's what we wanted to do. It was kind of inspired by a short we did called Grin, which was this kind of avant-garde horror film that did very well in the festival circuit. And so this is our feature and hopefully it'll be out next year as well.
Thank you for being on Showbiz India after a long time. And
yes, you have to see each other more often. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Have a wonderful holiday weekend.
You too.